Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. You are here on the home of the slightly above average ship review. I am your host, KBZ. Today we've got a match on Greece, maybe, in the Royal Navy Tier 6 premium battleship, the HMS Nelson. Alright, sorry, it's riposte. We are top tier in the Nelson. This is a match with aircraft carriers, so maybe we'll get to see some different things out of the Nelson in this match. Some really different things. All right, let's talk about the history of the HMS Nelson here. Pennant number 28, the named ship of her class of 2 battleships. Built to meet the limitations of the Washington Naval Treaty. Entered service in 1927. Generally considered the fleet flagship. She missed participating in the Norwegian campaign after being badly damaged by a mine in 1939. Torpedoed in mid-1941, I guess maybe near Malta. Ship covered the invasion of Sicily and Italy while bombarding coastal defenses in mid-43. Provided naval gunfire during Normandy before she struck a mine. Eventually turned into a training ship and then scrapped after being used as a target for bomb tests. An auspicious ending, if I'm using the word auspicious correctly. I have to check. I'm just saying there could have been a better ending for a ship like that, right? Okay, definitely not auspicious. That's for sure. All right, so that is the Nelson. The motto of the Nelson, let him bear the palm who has deserved it. Maybe the palm of your hand, the palm of this HE. Gonna smack some people up here in the Nelson. So the Nelson, unlike lots of other ships in this game, is predicated on 2 things, primarily. Number 1, using your high explosive to smash and burn down the enemy ships. And B, you've got some zombie heals that allow you to sustain incredible amounts of damage and still come out relatively healthy at the end after you reprint your ship. While we're doing that, I want to switch over to WoW's builds really quickly. Damage record on WoW's builds for the Nelson, 253,540. That's amazing. The base XP record, 4319. The Nelson has a Sigma of 1.9, which is really good. Queen Elizabeth so far is our leader in the clubhouse with 2.0. Oddly enough, the Nelson fires per minute 1.99. Arming threshold of the armor-piercing shells 67 millimeters. The overmatch is 28 millimeters in this ship. Still looking for a good target. I do have a stat comparison to give you. I'm hoping to do it later. There, our Gepard gets taken out by the enemy destroyer. And, that's not good. Alright, looking at this York out here, I did have armor piercing loaded for the longest time. I will say you have some really nice AP in this ship, and if you can get a cruiser broadside with your armor piercing, you can really mess them up, especially if you are more linear, like shooting into the side of the ship rather than plunging fire, simply because the closer they are to you, the more accurate it is going to be. That being said, the Nelson does have some weaknesses. If an enemy battleship gets to your side, it is basically a gigantic citadel, and you will get absolutely smashed. It doesn't have the greatest AA, and of course you are susceptible to destroyers. Your secondaries are geared more towards the rear of the ship, as you can see, although they do have some little turrets on the side there. And your armor isn't necessarily the strongest, but again, your goal in the Nelson is to take as much HE or rebuildable damage as you can, and then use your super heals to get back up. And I recommend strongly the survivability commander, Charles Madden, with this ship. So that means you're going to have to do what I call getting into the pocket of the enemy ships. And what do I mean by into the pocket? Well, right now is a pretty good example. The Leon is out there. He's 13.2 kilometers away. There's a Picola we're shooting at who's a little bit closer. Plunging fire, based on what I know of this game, starts at around 15 kilometers. The range of this ship with this build is only 16 kilometers. So you want to get inside of the plunging fire range, which is going to help you accuracy-wise anyway. And so you want to be close to the enemy ship, so inside of 15 kilometers to avoid the plunging fire. But you don't want to be too close. So you want to be between 10 to 14 kilometers from the enemy, in my opinion, in an ideal scenario. All right, here we're going to fling some more shots at a badly wounded Pensacola with armor piercing, trying to finish him off. Of course we miss. Of course we miss. And as you can see, plenty of ships are dying. We have really had no effect so far in the battle, which is even going to be more funny when the match is over and you see that situation totally turn around. Here we've finally been discovered by the aircraft carrier, so the torpedoes come in. I'm not going to let myself flood out, so we're going to damage con that immediately. And that, in my opinion, is really the weakness of the Nelson. You don't have great AA, and you really don't have a great way to combat carrier-based aircraft because you don't have the provision for a fighter plane. And so a good carrier commander, I will tell you, a good carrier commander will focus on the ships that have poor AA and are exploited. And is the Nelson one of those ships? In my opinion, yes, it is. It is right up there with the Nikolai I, the Arkansas FE, various other ships that have really, really low AA and ships that should be targeted. Now, maybe in the big scheme of things, the Nelson doesn't have the worst AA at the tier. But I'll just say to you, in my opinion, there were some matches I played in this ship where I did get a clear sky medal, but it basically involved me running from the carrier the entire match and unable to do anything. Speaking of doing anything, Destroyer stuck his nose out. We slapped him with that HE. I think 3 fires later, he's dead. You know, I don't know if I got them all in that one salvo, but we'll just say I did. And part of the deal here in the Nelson, when I'm playing the Nelson, I like to conserve my heals until I know I really need them. Well, I didn't want to get into a scenario messing with this Leon where I didn't have enough hit points left, because there's recoverable hit points like from burning or flooding, and then there's non-recoverable hit points from armor piercing damage. And so the Leon gave me some non-recoverable damage. So at that point I was like, you know what, let's heal up, let's move closer to the Leon and try to burn him down with our HE. Now, you being on fire in the Nelson shouldn't be anything that concerns you. This is the Nelson's natural state. Think of the Nelson as a masochist. So imagine if you were a POW and you were captured by the enemy and they were torturing you, and you were a masochist. You were like, yeah, that feels great. Go ahead and rip the other fingernails off. You know, that's kind of what you're doing here in the Nelson. The enemy is going to try to set you on fire because that's what they would do to any other ship to try to burn you down. And being set on fire is what you want. You know, to use an old story in America, you're like Brer Rabbit saying, don't throw me in the briar patch. And they throw you in the briar patch and you're like, that's just where I wanted to be. Thank you so much. So, you know, that's what you're doing here in the Nelson. You want to avoid the ships that are shooting armor piercing at you, and you want to accept HE damage because you can build that back. So here I just decided, let's take the bull by the horns. The Leon is the most dangerous ship to my existence right now. So we are going to try to burn him down with our really nice high explosive. And that's the other thing in the Nelson. You do not have to set the enemy ships on fire. You just have to hit them with your HE. And it does enough damage all by itself that you don't need to burn them down. You can just splash them with the HE and kill them that way. And you can see the Leon is hanging on, and it should be one more salvo, that one right there, that does him in. And there's literally nothing he can do to prevent it. And of course, it's not that salvo, because I missed. And now I feel really dumb. But here we're using the island to shield ourselves. We are starting to capture the, is it Alpha? We're starting to capture the Alpha cap. So, just taking a little incoming damage there. The Leon is getting farther away. I don't know if he ran out of heals or he doesn't have it recharged yet. But I'm just looking to set him on fire once. There it is. And so maybe, it looks like I actually set 2 fires. It's kind of mind-blowing. But maybe the Leon is just going to burn down and that's going to be the end of the Leon. And it is. And we got hit by the carrier, and we're just going to let this fire burn for a little bit, folks. I say that now. Maybe I'm going to damage con it any second now. But now it's a 4 versus 3. They have a cruiser, a battleship, and an aircraft carrier. So by killing the Leon, I pushed our team ahead in this match. All right, looking around, I need some spotting desperately because I don't have anybody spotted. And not that I'm particularly worried about anybody left in the match, but it would be nice to know where they are. All right, there's Colorado going behind an island. We are about to capture out Alpha. And it will be a solo base cap. So again, odd things you're seeing in this match. If I said to you a Nelson is going to get 2 base caps, would you buy that? Probably not. But that is what is going to happen in this match. Now, I am keeping an eye on the torpedo planes that are coming in. However, I am cognizant I don't want to give too much broadside to the Colorado. So in this kind of scenario, you know, I am going to turn a little bit to face the planes, and I'm risking that the Colorado is going to smash me, and he just has bad aim, and so does the carrier planes. So I escaped that. But if I was faced with that, and I knew I couldn't get out of the way, I would bow towards the Colorado and take the torpedoes and then just damage con the flooding. So we got lucky there. I'll admit that's a risky play, and it worked out for us. All right. We're continuing to spam the Colorado, which is our new target with HE. We are also advancing into the Bravo cap. I can't understate it enough. The enemy has a big lead, over 300 points. So we need to, A, at the very least, stop the counting of the Bravo cap. And B, we need to flip the cap. So it's not enough that you can say, oh, we need to kill the enemy team. That's great and everything. But time can still run out if you're not playing smart. So we're going to move directly into the Bravo cap here. And we did set the Colorado on fire again. And that is going to be what some people call a permanent fire. Now I'm hoping the York will back up behind the island here. And we can shoot at them. I just cannot get shells on the target. Also very cognizant of the carrier. But we are still taking damage from the Colorado. And he's going to go behind an island. And at that point, I'm going to say, you know what? I don't care about the Colorado right now. Although he did throw some shells our way. But the Colorado's not my concern. He definitely isn't my concern. He gets taken out. And my teammate had a double strike. So nice play by my teammate there. But now I can't understate it enough. We need to flip these caps around. And I don't believe that my teammates are going to be very motivated to get over to Alpha. And so at this point, we're down on points. We've got to kill the aircraft carrier to win the match. And you can see really quickly, 16 airplanes shot down here in the HMS Nelson. Will the Ranger let me get the Clear Sky medal? Well, he's doing some maneuvering that I would not do. I think he's going to come broadside to us. I do have this short fuse British armor piercing loaded up. And he's given us somewhat of a broadside. There is the base cap, solo base cap for Bravo. We're going to turn to avoid the island. As you can see there, we punched him pretty hard. 4 good hits. He is now half health. We're going to turn to avoid the island here. It's going to leave me with 2 turrets on target. And I honestly don't think I need more than that. So what you've seen in this game, actually pretty respectable AA from the Nelson. We were able to mitigate a lot of our chances of taking damage from the carrier. We got a couple of solo base caps, and we are going to really smash the Ranger there and unlock that high caliber medal. Here's the last salvo. Will that be enough, folks? No, it won't be enough. How embarrassing. All right, well, we're loading it back up. Look at this carrier player's trying to pinch my kill. I will not have any of that, sir. You can shoot those torpedoes, but my shells might be a little bit faster. And I think they are, and we're going to get that kill. And that is the end of the match. And I think we added in a Dreadnought medal for good luck there. All right, so here's some milestones of this campaign. Whoopie doo. Here we are in the victory screen. Dreadnought medal, high caliber medal. Not very impressive damage numbers, 91,935. We did shoot down 16 airplanes, which is pretty good in my opinion for this ship. 3 big kills and 2 solo base caps. We ended up with 713,512 silver. The Nelson is a fantastic silver earner. 7456 ship XP, 15,740 commander XP. So if you look for a tier 6 credit earner and you do not have the HMS Nelson, look at that. 2 medals, 3 big kills. We are on top of the board. 2761 base XP. A GG to the Miyoko, who I think performed really well and had that double strike. And I also think the Serov and the Akatsuki did well for our team, and I could not have won it without their efforts, so I wanted to recognize them, especially the Serov player. You know, when you have a good aircraft carrier commander on your team, you know you do. All right. Okay, so that is that game. Let's go into the port and take a look at the ship. Aiming system mod 1. Damage control system mod 2. And concealment system mod 1. Going into the loadout, 4 charges of the repair party. You can see 2,613 hit points per second with our commander. So that is how you fix yourself and recover. And 3 enhanced secondary targeting consumables of dubious value, in my opinion. Moving on to the booster flags, Epic Commander XP booster flag, Epic Global XP booster flag, Epic Credit booster flag. And your mileage may vary. We put the Common Battle booster on there for a little bit of extra speed. Type 9 permanent camouflage. And the Friendship Day 21 flag. Moving on to the stats, 59,400 hit points and a 19% torpedo damage reduction with our build. Got those 3x3 406mm turrets, 16 kilometer range, 27.4 second reload, 33.3 second turn time, HE shells 6,900 max HE damage with a 46% fire chance, AP shells 12,000 max damage. 2 sets of secondaries, the range of both is 5.2 kilometers. The first set of 6 120s reloads every 5 seconds, 1,700 HE shell max damage with an 8% fire chance. Second set of 6x2 152s reloads every 12 seconds, 2150 max HE shell damage with a 9% fire chance. You can look at the rest of the numbers. I'm going to go back to Wild's builds to complete our stat comparison. Hit points, number 1 is Nagato at 65. The Nelson is 16 out of 19 battleships. Pardon me, I was on the wrong sort. The Nelson is number 8, number 8 out of 19 ships. Firing range, Scharnhorst number 1, 17.9. Nelson number 11, 16.0. The lowest range is Francesco Caracciolo with 15.8. High explosive damage per minute, because that's your primary shell. Number 1 is Leon, 150,400. The Nelson is 4th, just above the Duke of York. The lowest ship on that HE DPM is Gneisenau, 61,477. AA DPS, I think it's all short range. Number 1, North Carolina. Nelson is number 4 at 295. The lowest ship is the Heinrich at 80. Sea detectability, Colorado most detectable, along with Nagato and Strasbourg at 14.8. Nelson, towards the bottom, 13.9. The lowest ship is Poltava at 13.6. Anyway, there's the armor viewer showing you that armor there. Really, you don't have substantial armor, in my opinion. You really just have the ability to recover from the HE shell damage with your super heals. Turret faces, I like that they're heavily armored, but they still can get knocked out. I've had it happen many times in the Nelson. All right. Am I going to put the case superstructure armor on? Whoopie doo. I can tell you I like the appearance of the Nelson. I think it's a good looking ship. Blah, blah, blah. I already gave you the history here. I don't know why I'm bothering with the screen. I did a much better job than this little write up here did. And, maybe we're not going to look at the commander, but it is Charles Madden. Here's how I've been set up. The one change I would make, I would put Fight Fire with Fire down there at the legendary skill. I just forgot to do that because I was playing him in a lower tier ship. But anyway, the setup here minus Will to Rebuild, I don't recommend that. I recommend Fight Fire with Fire for the ship, especially if you end up down tier. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. You can always subscribe for more slightly above average ship reviews to have real content like this brought to you every week. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one.